Hello everybody, welcome to another stream. How's it all going? Hey there Andrew, how you doing sir? Welcome chat. So last stream we talked about the whole plan with entities, what we're going to be doing, and the sort of the design of, or the reason why we took this route, right? I explained it all last stream. If anyone has any questions about any specifics, again, you can ask away. But yeah, we're going with a Codegen route, so we can define all of our properties and all of our archetypes. So we're just obviously writing the code generator now. So all of this stuff is test stuff. It's not meant to resemble anything to do with the game. But yeah, so we've got a file called the entity.layout, and we simply are going to parse this up today and output some data, and then we're going to design how we want the core functionality of the entity system to work, as in how do we do iterators, how do we do creating entities, destroying entities, you know, all the general API stuff, like the high level API of how it works, and then the low level how it's implemented. We want to figure that out today. So let's open up the code generator, entitygen.c. So we can run over a single script. Every single time we change the layout, we run this application here. And if I had a build system, we could simply check the timestamp. If it's changed, run the generator. But we didn't have one of those yet, and that's okay. It's not a big deal. What we generate with this layout, a few C files. Entity header, entity internal header, entity source code. That will get compiled. So I can write a few lines of code and I get 1,000 or a few thousand lines out. Hey Glorious Sir, doing good my friend? Doing good. Got myself a Pepsi Max Mango. How are you? How you doing? I was so busy today at work. So much communication and many little tasks switching between. It's crazy. It's one of the reasons why I like working on my project, because it's just like the work that I'm doing is just seems to be quite focused on a single area for a consistent amount of time. Whereas at work sometimes I'm just like fixing one thing, someone messages, helping with that thing, you know. Oh, there's a bug there, you know, and gets very hectic with the context switching. But yeah, so the first thing I want to do is parse a file. So we don't have one of these yet, but we're going to make one, and it's called a text reader. Just helps you read text. I think I need one of these sometimes with how bad I am at reading. I need a text reader myself. So, oh, I messed that one up hard. So basically, it's got a bit of a source pointer. Maybe we'll say like this is the actual text that we're reading. We have a we can have a cursor. You won't need more than 4 gigs of text, right? And then you have the capacity of the thing that you're reading. And then we could probably have more things like file on line, or sorry, column and line. Column and line. Oh. There we go, wouldn't it? So basically I reckon we'll make an init function render. Mine is just all on graphics, isn't it? Text. Let's call it R, because why not? Yeah, so you just init the thing, so you give it a bit of text. Char star text, and then the capacity. Capacity of the text. Then I reckon what we can do is also make our full declarations here as well. So I'm going to move into more of a core part of the code base, because I think when we do our serialization stuff, I think this is going to be really useful for that as well. But maybe not. Maybe we'll just extend it a little bit. Or maybe it needs to be extended. We'll see. So when we initialize it, we just say r text equal text, r cursor equals 0, r capacity equal capacity, r column equal 1, right? Because it's 1 based. Ain't got no 2 base columns, and then 1 base lines. Or 0 base, let's say. Anyway. So 1 based for the column and the line. So what is next? So when we're parsing our wonderful, lovely entity layout, this like custom format, right? We basically want to, we've got our cursor here, and we want to go ensure that this matches prop, like it's a keyword prop. Ensure it matches that keyword, and then advance past that. And then we need another one to skip white space, like all white space. And then we need another one which gets the next string, right? And then I think those are the common sorts of methods that we want. Functions that we want. So one of them is like a sort of like a match. See, I've written this so many times. I've probably got a few laying around on my hard drive somewhere, but I guess it's fun just writing it again. We want to be able to check if we match. So do I call it? So one of them is going to read a string back, like read the next thing up to like a new line or the limit. Ah, yeah. So so let's try and think if we think of some names. So one of them is like you need to match, or you want to read until a set of delimiters, right? And that will read all the way up until like a space, so you can extract out a string, for instance. The other one is obviously skip white space. So this is like read until you find a character, whereas the other one is like read until you do not find. I don't know. Do you call it like a read match, where it's all read? Well, read is you're gonna get back that string, whereas like here we want to say like, because it'll be quite a common operation. I guess you say compare. We just call it compare. Text reader compare. Yeah, I think those are the sorts of ones we want. Had some communications highs and lows myself today. Continue to work on custom tabletop RPG system with my friend. Nice. It's fun but hard. Yeah. Yeah, you definitely want to... Yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying when you're like communicating and things. You have those moments where like... And then it will go... Sometimes you're just thinking too much and talking. And the conversation stack just grows so much that it becomes hard to follow. You just need to take a break and come back. But that's cool though, you've done a tabletop RPG. Is this going to be like, obviously for, with like physical in, or are you thinking about doing this tabletop RPG on a, programmed up on a computer? Or both? Um, right, so these names are okay. I think we should have an advance function as well. So, because otherwise our column and line will not follow properly, right? So if we say advance, this reads the current yeah, reads the current character. Does it pass it back out? Oh shoot, what was that? Yeah, so we say char text cursor, and you advance that cursor. I guess this won't be UTF-8, but yeah, screw UTF-8. Then we'll say if char equal a new line character. Why does it not do that automatically? R equals line plus equals 1, R column equal 1. That'll do a nice thing there. Then I guess we can just return the character. But then we say if cursor greater than or equal to capacity, then we would like to return 0 or a null char, right? Pretty ideal. So we're going to advance. So we can always just spin over and advance. You know, say while we're advancing for any of this logic here, basically, and get out the next character. Seems pretty alright, doesn't it? So let's try that again. It's not the fastest approach, but we just need something that's nice and easy to use. I guess we need a read until. So we'll be able to read until any character delimiters. Oh. So delimiters count equals string length delimiters, and then we're going to say while. So we need to get that char, and we're going to say char equal text reader advance with an R, and I'll get rid of all this crap. I need to do a few things with this editor. I need to make my own theme. And change that setting somehow. Right, so we advance. And with this information, we can go, right, for every delimiter in delimiters. Right, I think the reason why it's not doing that is because of these things. I don't know. So we say if char equal delimiters. I'm expecting then we have found the end. So we can return. So when you say read until, I think what we have to do is capture like a string. So what we want to return is one of those sort of like call strings where it's like a sized string of some kind. So we can get a pointer, get a putter. It's for a house use only. We started in development. We started it about 4 years ago because we didn't find a system that we'd liked. We do play in a somewhat bad virtual tabletop program, but I just can't force myself to write mine so far. Right, let's see. Yeah. I've seen a few of those programs. My brother plays D&D with his friends sometimes. And he's found an application where that's extendable that people have been using. So he's been using that. Cool, it's called. So then we get the starting char. So we get start pointer, start putter, bit of text plus the cursor. Then we will loop. And then that should get us the end, right, the exclusive end putter. And then it's just as simple as doing a bit of a core string with a bit of a start putter, and then a bit of an end putter, take a start putter. It's like up along right C++ com, just without the C++. There we go. They're very extendable through JavaScript, which is not fun. Great. Oh, amazing. Amazing. There's no end putter? Right. So this is a pretty useful one. We can get a string back by just saying read until you reach one of these characters which we don't want, and then it will give you everything before that character that you don't want. So pretty neat, pretty handy. Let's do the next one. So the other one was the compare. So this compare one, it just want to give you back a boolean, right? Whether or not. So the problem with advancing means that yeah, I guess we have to make another one called advanced many or advanced by. no, advance by amount. Yeah, so you do that for loop, right? Index 0 amount, and then followed by a text reader advance, and you know, hopefully the compiler inlines that. It probably will. But yeah, please inline. I think we'll need this. Right. So what am I doing now? Oh yeah, compare. So the compare one takes in a core string. Right, and I guess we'll do a C string version. Because that's always handy, right? A bit of a C string. Compare a bit of a C. Without taking an R and a string, and then it'll call text reader compare with R core string C string, and voila. So yeah, core string compare with, what would you call this? What would you call this string? So this time around, we kind of just want to go, we want to make our own cursor. No, we've already got, yeah, we want to make our own cursor. Cursor equal text cursor or R cursor for the reader. And we want to loop until, oh, for crying out loud. Yeah, get over there, while cursor is less than our capacity. So then we obviously want to advance cursor, and then we want to, right. So basically, if we find, no, why am I doing this? I'm just looking for a string. Yeah, it's quite easy, right? So you go if our capacity take our cursor is less than string dot size, then it can't possibly be a match. So we return false. And the next one we do is we say if string, I think it's just a return actually, isn't it? Return string n compare, right, our text plus our cursor. Oh wait, we have to do the advance, isn't it? Forgot about that. If string dot data and then string dot size. If that is true, we would then like to call that text reader advance by a string dot size, please. So we'll go over all of that and then do the advancing. And hopefully you should have a new line in there, but it's going to handle that case anyway, because we don't really care. Oh, equal 0, because it's string compare or standard library compare stuff. And then we return true in here, and then return false here. So I think this is most of the functions that we're going to need to parse up this file and make some data. Yeah, I think that's right. Let's double check, right? So no delimiters. If the capacity to take the cursor is less than string size, there's not enough room, return false. If we string compare and they're equal, advance and return. Yep. And then return false. Why would you compare a string with a whole chunk from the cursor at the end though? From the cursor the end though. Why would you compare it with the chunk from to the end though? What are you talking about, this edge, this thing here? This is just saying if you're going to go past the end of the buffer, the text buffer that we're reading. Right? Is that the question? This if statement? Hey Greenblade, how are you? Hey. So if you read until the end of the buffer, yeah. That's cool, no worries. Right, so we've got the compare. So we're going to move this into the core header file. I just want to get it working, and then we'll move it in there because it's just easier to not have to shift between files, right? I'm going to advance as well for some reason if you just want to advance. And advance by. Oh yeah. Thank you so much. Oh, browsing. Appreciate it, sir. Thank you for the sub. How you guys doing? How you doing? I got the call today for a potential job to develop software for submarines for the Navy. Interesting. Amazing. Just be careful. Just be careful about putting a web browser on there or something. Making it require the internet. And yeah, sounds really cool though. Do you know what languages you're going to be using and things? And what's the work environment? Have you got much of a taste of what the working environment's going to be like as well? I always find that really sketchy about jobs. If you don't go into the office now to sort of see how you're going to be working, either remote or something. But, then get a feeling for what the office environment is like. Oh wait. Oh, you got the call today for a potential job. Right. Do you doubt you get the job? Oh. Nah. Never doubt it. Sure you do fine. Yeah, make sure these route to the UIs, yeah. Working for Rolls-Royce apparently. Oh. I never knew they would. Do Rolls-Royce do submarines? What? Mind blown. C++, C++, C#, Python. Alright. Alright. Oh, I forgot the other one. Skip white space. Hang on a minute. Wait a minute. This advanced by has problems. This one has problems here. Damn. Right. Yeah, so we want to basically we want this one, and then I want to just change it all up. The white space. Skip white space. Very common one. So I guess you want to sometimes know, like, oh, well, we don't really need to know, but you could know like how many characters skipped. But it might not be useful. So we're just going to advance. So we're skipping white space specifically. So if char. So the thing is you would be. Oh, we need a peeker. We need a good old peeker as well. All right. So I think when you skip white space, you do your own while loop, and maybe you go peek the character, then advance, and because the character, hopefully the compiler will just inline it, and it should be able to just do that code basically. Trusting the compiler. It should be alright. I'm not really using this for that performance intensive stuff anyway. Should be alright. Yeah, so you want to peek char, peek for the current char. If char equal this or a space character or a tab. So this is specifically white space, no new lines, right? And the other one as well you want to make sure is I want to be able to do a single character one, I think, as well. Probably quite common. Yeah, but just return here. And then if not, we do an advance. But then if I advance, see, why did I need the peek? Because what I could do is just advance. I peek the first one, and then we advance the rest. So you peek while ch. This can go. So one peek, and then this advances. So peek while we have a character, if it's white space. Wait, no new lines. Why did I put a new line in there? I said no new lines, I meant backslash tab. Good. If it's not equal, that's what I meant to say. Damn Boolean logic. If it's not equal to the white spaces, both of them, return. Cool. So the other one we probably want to have is the compared char. Right, you might just want to compare a single character. So that one's just another macros for days. C string. I guess we could do a specialized version maybe. if that's equal to 0, it's just like a comparison, right? Then if not, we do a check. Right, so if that is equal to that, we then advance and consume it. So if that is equal, advance by 1, which is just the same as advance, and then return true, false. Good. So I think this is everything now. Right, we've got a nice little text reader. We should be able to parse up a lovely entity layout thing here, which just defines a bunch of properties with some types and their name, archetypes, their name, and all the properties. One thing I do want to support is a void property as well, which is no size. So this would just be like flag test, bit flag test. A bit flag. So it's a sizeless property in a way. Rolls-Royce make plane engines too. They do a lot more than just cars. Alright. They do nuclear reactors, which is... What? Wow. Bananas. Hmm. Right. Sounds good, Green Blade. Well, I hope you get a job, man. Sounds great. Like, you know, I'm sure there won't be any concerns about, getting made redundant or anything. Seems quite, seems that's always going to be required. Seems like a good career as well. Yeah, so let's just get started using this. And then when I'm like, oh, this is good, we'll move it out of the entity gem, put it in the core headers and see source file. Awesome. What sort of training? Do you mean like just to get you onboarded or like to learn skills and you get certificates and things? Right. Yeah, it probably means like, well, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it could be onboarding. Yeah, like learning the industry. Basically. Right, Intersect Green Blade. Right, so here we go. Let's go. So, it's gonna be great. Get your text reader out. Text reader. We can just call it reader. Then we say text reader, like around the word render apparently. Init. All right, the best English word. And then, yeah, I need the text. So I call it layout bytes. Bytes is a bit of a word where it's like, I don't know. Eh. Right, string. Much better. So what I'd like to do is create that layout string. So I pass in the layout string size, and voila. So text reader is now initialized. So now we can just essentially do while peak, I guess. While text reader peak. Is that what we would like to do? I don't know. So we're basically trying to say while we have characters. Yeah, I think that's right. So we want to skip some white space. Oh, white space and new lines. That's another one we want. There's always more. And then I want to, I should really do n first. Right. Sure, so at first, while we have stuff to do, what we'd like to do is skip any white space or new lines. So, what did I call it? I'm going to say address of reader. Right, address of reader. So, if we go back to that layout file, so technically I could have, we want to get to the point where we're basically at the start of a new line, and skipping white space or new lines gets us there. So now we're at the start of a new line. Yeah, I guess so. Or we could maybe have, yeah, that's right. That's good. Because you have, yeah. So you'd end up at the start of a new line, basically. Is always true. If you're skipping, yeah, I guess someone could have put a lot of white space at the beginning. So that would still parse, and that's okay. But it doesn't have to be perfect, right? It's just a quick Codegen. So now what we need to do is be able to see if there is a property keyword or an archetype keyword. So we're going to say text reader compare and use this super lovely, so compare C, use the C string, address of reader, put in the C string, which is going to be prop. Wait a minute. We want to read up until there's a delimiter. Because if we just read prop, that would be problematic. Yeah, but say we say prop with a space, like we're always expecting a space delimiter, right? So that comes as part of the, like if we had, I guess someone could put a tab in there and then it wouldn't work. So yeah, I guess maybe we say read until space, and then you can check that to see if that means anything, and then you can print out. Yeah, so I guess my compare thing is not going to really work. Because it would be problematic, I think. What might be better is just the read until with the delimiter, get the string back, do the comparison. That'll probably be better. So maybe we'll get rid of the compare ones if we don't end up using them. Right, let's try that one again. Or maybe the compare is Maybe the compare is still useful. Or maybe it is read until. Right. Okay, so the read until. Call string. We'll call this a keyword. And we're going to say read until. And I'm just going to read until a space, tab, or new line. And the reason is because the way that the layout file works is that it's basically done in lines, right? And then if we reach a new line, well, it's broken some of that, right? So now we say if core string equal keyword is equal to a prop. So I think that's right, isn't it? Yeah, nice. So that is equal, and then we'll do an else if archetype. So here's the two different parsing things here, and we're going to parse the data up into some structures, so we can then do the codegening. So in the else side of things, what we would like to do is somehow report an error. So we could just assert or abort, but I think it's better to say maybe just print yeah, I guess print yeah, so it would be nice to make the error messages better at some point. So we'll make into a function. So we can say like exit error, and here you'd put char format. Or maybe we'll just say message. Improve it later. But yeah, it really should show like the lines of code and do some proper nice form printing, but that is just too much effort to do. So for now, we'll just go like, oh yeah, this line. So I've done it before in my compiler, but yeah, bit too much. So we just should say, you know, error message, new line, message, and we'll say so we might do the thing where we put it a file. So file, line number, column, error. Yeah, that'd be decent. So if we pass in the reader, text reader, so our, I guess when I say file, our line, our column. I think we would have advanced to, well, so read until, what does that produce? Yeah, if it didn't read anything, it would produce a 0 size thing, wouldn't it? So that would then be untouched. VA start format. Wait, VA list. Args format. VA. So we need to put into a temporary buffer. So here's the message in the end. So that'll just be a VSN printf. We're going to go inside this message buffer of, let's say, 256. I doubt it'd be that big. Message, size of message, then the format, FMT, args, and voila. That'll make us an alternative message in there, and we should be able to just put the message out. So I need there to be a file in the text reader, so we'll also pass in a char string for the file. Store that in there as well. It's really a file path. Just useful for error messages and things like that. So file path, just hard code it in there. It'll be source logic entity.layout. I think I've already read it, isn't it? Let's call it char star. Alright, gotta go for tonight, but have a night. That's cool. Yeah, see you later, Green Blade. Good to see my friend. Have a good rest, and I'll see you in a future one. Nice. So we did this. Now we've got this way to exit with an error, or like, you know, exit reader error. Because there's more than just reader errors. Maybe we're operating on the data and realize, crap, you know. But I guess we can just do reader error for now. So we address of reader, the format. So this is like unexpected keyword at start of line, or like expect, or I could just say in just better English, right? Expected prop or archetype, but got then a string, which would be the thing that we are providing, star s. So that would be casted to int keyword size and keyword dot data. Right, so that does the first bit of parsing. So now what we need to do is parse property and archetype. So why don't we get the data structure ready? So the data structure is going to be, well, we want the property, just call it prop. And what do we want here? Well, let's jump back to the layout. So property has a type and it has a name. So we kind of want those as strings, right? One of those as strings. And maybe we can have some special idea of like some of these. So we have a type string. Maybe if they're like a vector type, we can do like that swizzling thing or something, right? Yeah, we'll see. So let's just type in like jar data type string. Well, not really char, because it's going to be pointing into the text file I've just read. They want another core string for the identifier, which is obviously a string. And then maybe some special type of like data type, some special data type. Maybe say data type void. And then the other one will be data type other, where it's like, it's not really a special one. And we can probably have this. There's all this. Yeah, so I think we can have like a data type there as well. Where it's just kind of there for like special. I don't know, maybe I should call that special data type. Or data type. Yeah. Special data type. And if it's got special data type of none. I think so. Because if you just call it data type, it seems like it's a completely usable thing. So I think this will be reasonable enough. Right, so special data type, and we'll call this one none. And then there's a special void one. So there's the property one, the initial part of property. The other one's gonna be archetype. So with the archetype, we definitely want some form of identifier. And we definitely want, then we want an array of a bunch of strings for, yeah, a bunch of string properties. See, as well, I wanted to support optional ones. So let's imagine the knight, the chess can optionally have health. Bit of a weird one. But then we need to have a bit flag in here as well. A bit flag, because that's one of those void ones. So you can't optionally have a bit flag. That's the whole point of it. Well, would you say it's a Boolean? Maybe it's not. Yeah, you say it's a Boolean type rather than a. Because if it's a 1-bit type, then it can go in the bit set. Yeah, so you can't optionally have a bit. It doesn't make any sense. Because it's stored in the optional bits anyway. So I think replace that void one with bool. Alright. So that's a special one. So the archetypes want an array of archetype properties, which will have maybe another archetype prop. So this will probably want to link to the reference to the property, or the actual property, and it will have a boolean on it to say if it is optional. Right, that might be useful. So we can then have an array of archetype props, and then we have a props count. So this is what we're going to fill up. We can max allocate these things, no big deal. We could do like 64 or something dumb like that, and or way bigger than that would be fine. So let's go ahead and so I guess we could just simply have all of our stuff. So we call it like gen for short, strut gen. So we can just say gen, or ggen, whatever you call it, or I'll just put the gen in here. And then we'll have all the properties, props. Then you sort of max that out at like 1,000. Then you have the archetypes. You max that out at like 1,000. And then we can, maybe with these properties, maybe we say at most there's 32. And if we need more than 32, we can change it. So 1024 is quite a bit. I only think we're only going to have a handful of these actually. So let's actually limit it on purpose to 16. I don't think we're going to have a lot of archetypes. We can always up that number if we get too aggressive with that. What's my theme? This one is Nord. So it's available in Vim and comes built into Helix. But I think this is Nord. Nord Night. Yeah, that's what it's called. Right, props count, and then archetypes count. So it's as simple as initializing this data properly. We should probably zero everything. So let's just core zero an element, if we please, which is the address of gen. And then we simply just start putting stuff in. So here we're going to allocate ourselves a prop. So we allocate a prop by bumping it. There's no other ways you're going to be making props other than this, so there's no point making a function. So we'll just say, gen.props count, and then we say gen.props count plus equal 1. Then we put a lovely assertion, core assert, array resize. So we're going to resize gen plus 1. And then we're going to do that for array count of gen.props. So there's the bump allocate. So there's the bump allocate. And now we start filling in all the data. So all we need to do next is get a string, and that's the identifier. Wait. Data type string, that's the next. So we skip white space after this. Just white space, no new lines. Then we say prop data type string, make that equal to text reader read until a delimiter. So the delimiter is going to be space, maybe a tab, and if we get these new lines or that's a problem. Yeah, we don't want to go past the line, so we put the new lines in there as well. So this is our data type string. Now, if the prop data type string is equal to 0, or like no size whatsoever, that's an error. Right, and we say expected missing prop data type. Or expected a data type after keyword prop. And I guess we should also verify that it is ASCII. Is an ASCII string or something like this, but if I chuck it through my compiler afterwards anyway, we'll see the clear problem, right? So I don't think I have to worry too much about those things. Yeah, that'd be a clear problem later on if I want to solve it. So after you got your data type, the next one is an identifier. So we need to skip more white space and then just simply oh, wrong one. Oh. Yep. Then we need to simply I'd give that identifier. So expected an identifier after the data type for a property. Yep. So yeah, we could have clearer messages, maybe like, so we could say new line. Imagine if we did new line hint, and then we put out the hint, which would be prop some data type, right? Identifier. That'd be quite a nice error message. And then we can do a hint. Maybe hints could be a separate thing. Do we always want a hint? Better propagon archetype. Yeah, maybe we should do hints, have them built in. Nah, because I can just do them manually like this. Alright, so hint, prop, and then we can put in the data type that they've already used, right? And then put an identifier for that, right? So the one they've already used, dot star, so it'd be like that casted to int thing again, prop, data type string, dot size, prop, data type string dot data. Nice. Pretty good. I could have just used the F key there, that'd have been great. Okay, so that's super nice. So we've now got the is that the property all done? We need to get the special to know if it is a special data type. That is something. So we say if it's a ball, say it's a, yeah, so if core string equal, and it'll be like prop data type string, if that's equal to ball, then it's a special prop special data type equals special data type boolean. So we can do special bit filled things by not having allocated memory for those, basically. Speed none. Right, then if you look at the layout file, after we've done the identifier, we've got to parse we're expecting a char, then, a semicolon char. So that one's simple, right? If text reader compared char reader, then we put in the char semicolon. So if that failed, then we would do another error and say expect a semicolon. Yeah, so here we'll probably do something like this. Expected an identifier, no. Expected a semicolon. To end this line. And the identifier string as well. Dot star yes. So I also just realized that we might have missed something key for the skipping white space function. Sometimes you want to know, did I just skip some white space or not? That is sometimes actually handy. Like we need to yeah. So I guess we want to say the amount of white space that we skipped. I guess it could be done with a comparison, but this also just works. We could keep the cursor and just diff the cursor. Or yes, old cursor, you don't do anything like that, and then you just return the difference between where the cursor is now. Yeah, that one returns, doesn't it? Yeah, where the cursor is now, the old cursor, and this is just now a break. Right, so that'll be handy. You got to change the prototype though. So skip white space. There's an and new lines one. Cool. So this can also have the same change. This will be super useful. This will be a break. And lovely. So where do we need this? So here when we skip white space or something, it doesn't really matter for these guys because this one will be like a zero-sized identifier the next time around. Yeah, that's right. Because I'll just see it does the advance right away. That's a bit scary, isn't it? Really should peek first. Text reader peek. And then it should do like this advance. Should be... And that'll be a while char. Yeah, so we peek. Now, has the logic messed up? So if you hit this one, you still want to do the advance, I think. Do you want to come off it? You're reading until that character. No, you don't advance when you hit it. Yeah, you don't want to come off it, that's good. But advance also checks for the capacity, so is it safe to use without peak? Yeah, so, oh crap. Yeah, so what happens, the advance will return null, right? So when it advances, yeah, when it advances, it will get caught here, right? So peak will also, if it goes outside of the bounds of the text, it will return a null character. And then we say, while there's not a null character, and then check if it's a match with the delimiter, then advance to the next one. If it's a match with the delimiter, we break. And we'll leave the cursor on the delimiter. Yeah, so it should be alright. Yeah, this seems pretty safe to me. Unless you're seeing something I'm not seeing. It's file path. But then core string will create a string size of 1. Will it? Right. I don't think it will because, yeah, it won't. Yeah, hopefully, I don't think it does. Yeah, so if we hit if we're already on the delimiter and we say read until this delimiter, it should return a size of 0. I think that's right. I think that is right. So, yeah, those are all safe. Yeah, that's all right. That's all right, no worries. So I think that's our properties should be able to get parsed. We could debug print out everything, right? So it's like, well, so when we reach the archetypes, let's just break. And then we'll debug print all those properties. And then we'll do the same thing for the archetypes. So here we're going to go over all the properties. So in the gen.props count. And we're just going to get the prop So prop, property, index, cool. Then we're going to print out prop, string, new line. And now we do all the lovely stuff here, right? So it's these things here. Place those in the. And I guess we join them all onto the same line. Bananas, I know. But hopefully, that should be something at least working. So let's hop into the terminal. We're going to run the script. Fingers crossed. Right, it still ran. And printed out things. What are these? Yeah, wait, hang on a minute. Yeah, I removed that printf, didn't I? Right, so what is all of this rubbish? Error, expected proper archetype, but got and prop. And then it printed out this whole damn string. Okay, so something's wrong with the first bit. It's printed out basically the whole file. So this read until delimiter thing didn't really work. So we can just put a breakpoint in here, do a lovely compile, gdb dot / build / entity gen. Wait, gf. So in here, so take a look. So we run it. The keyword is what? Yeah, 320. It's a bit long. So clearly it didn't read until the delimiter. It got a bit messed up. So how did I mess this thing up? The peaks get the P. Is P a delimiter? No, go to the next one. R O T space. Right, so the first one is the delimiter, right? What? Delimiter 0. Did I? Right, I went past it, didn't I? Crap. Right, hang on a minute. Let's get back in there. Let's put a breakpoint here. So O P, one more time, space. Sweet. CH equals space, delimiters. Right, this must be it. Ah, rookie mistake. I tried to break from a while loop with a for loop. It is obviously the end of the day. That's funny. So yeah, I tried to break from a while loop with a for loop. So in C, the best way to do this is go tos. Oh yeah. Go to and voila. Right. Oh, we forgot to exit when we call the exit function. Cool. Error. Expected proper archetype got prop space. So that obviously is including the space then. So you was right, Glorious. It's including the space. Yeah, it will be. It's including this. Yeah, including the space is fine. Yeah, that does make sense. So read until... Oh. Right, we hit this dilemma. Yeah, you don't want to... Maybe in this string, you don't want to include the delimiter in the string. Is that true? Yeah, so you don't include the delimiter in the string, but you want it to be left on the delimiter. So if start pointer not equal to end pointer, I guess we'll just take one. Right, don't include the delimiter in the returned string. Expected this to end the line, and then it prints out the line. And so by the looks of it, we've got the identifier has the semicolon as part of the thing for some reason. Why is that? Wait, read until semicolon. That's what we want. But then if we get a space. Yeah, so what happens if we get a space in the identifier? Yeah, read until semicolon space. Yes, then we want to skip white space. And that should do it. So let's print those out. Oh. Right, guess this is not working properly. That could be a peak advance, maybe. If text reader peak still not going to fix anything. So we'll go look at the right, core breakpoint. Compile it. That's running through the debugger. So we peak. Go back a new line. Here. There's a new. We got back a new line. So it would have stopped. Is skip white space doing a? So we peak. We've got a new line here as well. Okay, so why is the read on? Right, let's run that again. P prop identifier 5. Why is it at the new line if it stops at 5? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We should be at the semicolon. Alright, let's get in there. So, what have I done that's really silly? So, R, D, then after D, semicolon, goes to end. So we're at the semicolon. right? So PR text plus index with R cursor, new line. What? So my advance, is that returning one that's too... Right, the advance is returning... Yeah, maybe Glorious was right. Maybe there is a problem. The advance is returning the previous one. Yeah, and then it's advancing it. So it returns the old character we've just left. Should we change the way advance works? Should advance really be returning the current cursor, like peek it? But then you can always just peek. Yeah, maybe returning the old cursor is a bit silly. So let's just change that prototype, just advance. So the old character, maybe that's a bit silly. So you always want to... Yeah, I think that's a bit silly. All right, let's have a look. So what have we broke? So you advance, then peek. So you always peek in the for loop. So we get rid of let's give this a go. Char. So we'll always pick a character, and then we advance it here. Cool. So this one says advance. So we're saying advance, but if we've hit, that's a peek. Peek, if we hit the end of the file, return. Yeah, so where else is there an advance? I think we're okay. I think this needs to be a peek situation again. So we'll just define yeah, so we're saying while peek and then advance if that was white space. Yes. Right, same situation again. Nice. Right, so that should be the fix, I'm hoping. Let's remove the... Yeah, maybe I should have copied the text reader from the other project, but another project probably would have solved all these problems. But anyway, good to keep the brain going, I guess. Expected prop but got pro. So this is because we took one, I think. Yeah, I remember this take one being kind of fishy when I was writing it. Didn't seem to make too much sense. Right, there we go. Success. So now parsing the prop thing successfully. And here's all the properties we've parsed. That looks like the ones in the file. So let's go ahead and parse the archetypes next. You know, we didn't really check if this the white space thing, but should we check all the error messages work at least? So if we go to layout, if we put like a pipe character here, do we get yes, the pipe character is just seen as a data type because we're not checking for ASCII. That's cool. Hint, and then it's putting the things in there, isn't it? Maybe displaying people's stuff as. See, we're displaying people's stuff. We should at least verify that they're proper identifiers. So verify. So we're going to say, well, I've got like an is ASCII. ASCII to lower. See, I got them in another project somewhere. Oh well. There is the built-in C versions, but you can never really trust those to be good because they've probably got like locale things. But yeah, there's some tricks you can do. I'll just not bother with doing the tricks, but so we just want to say like, you first check the if ident data 0. This one you're checking for it is ASCII. So you're saying, so I guess I'm making his ASCII thing. We'll do the unoptimized version. You can do it by taking away and do some. This is probably good enough. So you say it's less than, sorry, A is less than or equal to char, and char is less than or equal to z. And then you obviously do the capital versions. Or it. And then you want like an is digit. So you're saying like if is ASCII, so if not ASCII, right? If is not ASCII, then we'll print out that error. So it's like, I guess we'll put the text reader in here. Render, keep writing that. Texture and render, just in my muscle memory. It's like burnt in there. Alright, sure. Oh nice, I finished watching the whole YouTube VOD. I thought you multi-streamed on YouTube. No, not yet. One, I don't know how to do it. And two, I think I need 1,000 subscribers. So, if you guys in here would like to see me on YouTube, I guess, as well, subscribe to the VOD channel. There's also a channel for some cut down versions of the streams, like a a summary when I've completed a whole section of work usually, and I've got two that I still need to make because it's been a busy changing week. I've summarized the whole plan for the next 8 months, and yeah, I don't know what that was, but yeah, thank you Horaxial for yeah, watching that and reminding me. How's it going? Have you watched the whole 8 month plan? Is that the one you watched, or is it the entity stream? But yeah, for those who don't know, on the Discord channel, who haven't watched the VOD where we went over the plan for the next 8 months, if you want to see the completed list, it's on the Discord server in the Game Without an Engine discussion. Like, this is what we're working on for the next 8 months. So I've got it all sorted in order, and I've got it all timed out. So hopefully this entity stuff will take 6 streams. We've already spent 1 stream doing planning, so we've got 5 streams left, including this one. And then we're doing like OS, threading support, job system, resource tracking for catching data races. Yeah, just doing a bunch of things with the overall plan to build an editor for the game. So that's what we're working on. That's the next mega task. Yeah, it was Entity Stream. Awesome. How did you find it? Have you got any questions from it that you want answering? Exit. What the crap is this? Oh yes, because it's not done that. Exit error. Good. Reader. So here we're saying identifier must start with an ASCII character. Did you already cover UTF-8 text rendering, or is it just ASCII? The recap channel was great. Sub to awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I went for a phase of like doing tons of them, and then like the work got so complicated and long that it was a bit too much to do that, and a bit hard to. It's just better if I recapped it. Oh, initially I was doing like, this is what I'm doing throughout the whole stream, and sort of like say what I'm working on next, but it would look like I'm too all over the place, I think. Too chaotic to follow. So rather just recap it when I've made my mind up. But yeah, it's just finding time to edit the videos. Just trim them down. Interesting localization text rendering. So we've just done a very simple ASCII thing. We did actually implement. I actually did a devlog on the recap channel, where we went and implemented text rendering using STB TrueType, but that was still just ASCII. I didn't bother doing any UTF-8 localization stuff, because I don't know if my game's gonna have that. Yeah. But if you check on it was when I did the texture viewer. Where's the VOD channel? I don't know what happened there. No, this isn't the VOD channel. Yeah, texture viewer, where is it? UI draw layers, texture viewer, UI theme plus font rendering. So font rendering 2. So we made like a font atlas and rendered it to the font atlas. The bug. Squish it. 8.3. Oh, there's a bug in it. Thank you very much. me repeating my same insert. Ooh, very nice. Full range over all of the starting at 1, because we've already checked the first one. Ident size, and we'll do a similar sort of thing this time. This time it'll be char ident data index. If not ASCII and not is char. Wait, digit. And char not equal to underscore. Identifier must be alpha numeric or underscore. Sweet, so that will at least get rid of, or meaning we can have nice error messages that take in some of the data that you've already provided, like the data type, and provide a hint. So this means we should be able to say verify identifier, prop data type string, and then verify identifier. Yeah? Oh, I need the reader. Oh, render. Oh. Oh, nearly there. Right, let's give that one a go. Be a bit of fun. So that should... Nice. So still outputs correctly. So let's go over to the layout and let's start poking in some random stuff. So we're going to put a pipe symbol. Now how does that error? Identifier must start with an ASCII character. Right, so it's printed that out. The error is actually on a bit of a wrong column though, because we've not been advancing the column. So let's go back. When we do advance in the text reader, we've not been advancing the column. There we go, so we've got 7 there. Very nice. Wait, 7's a bit long. Why did it report 7? Well, because we would have read... We'd have read the data type. That would have included... Should be that big, right? So we call breakpoint that, let's investigate going on. Prop data type string. Yes, it's got size of 1. So what's my reader look like? 7 columns. Right, what about now? 6 columns. Did we really skip that much white? Oh, no. Yeah, maybe that's right. So we go back to the layout. So we've got column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then all 7. Yeah. That's the delimiter. That's okay. It's okay to be the one after, I'm not fussed about that. So that's good. So yeah, and if you end it early, if you just say put the word prop there, it says expected data type after keyword prop, proceed 32, then identifier as a hint. Line 2, 5, nice. Then if we put a data type in there, it's a random one, it will say specified identifier after data type, it puts your own data type in there, then identifier. Right, then if we put in an identifier, it puts in your own identifier and it says you need a semicolon. Cool. Pretty nice. So obviously we could have done printing the source file and putting the line correctly, but it doesn't have to be super flawless, right? As long as it's like, yeah, it doesn't have to be like the best, but it's just got to be good enough, I would say. What about animations and VFX? Cutscenes. Yeah, I haven't really thought about any of that stuff yet. We will be doing a second pass on rendering after getting an editor in. But I don't know if it would definitely include skeletal animation. That's part of the editor, I think. That's really right towards the end of the editor. Skeletal animation, like skinning. But yeah, I haven't really thought about anything too far after that. We'll probably be optimizing the renderer so it works for a big old scene filled with stuff, and getting maybe improving the lighting. But I could always spend ages on that one. So I might just leave it as it is for a while, depending on how bad it looks. Actually, we will have to improve the lighting. We've only got support for 2 lights. But yeah. Cool. So let's parse the archetypes. Those should be quite similar. Rightio. So let's go for ham. So I reckon if we copy everything, we should be able to get a bit of a head start. But obviously copying stuff means you're more likely to make errors, so we've got to be careful with that one. Archetypes, count archetypes. So here we're bump allocating. So we just bump allocate a bunch of archetypes. Then we're going to skip the white space and then parse. Bum, 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 bum. This one says identifier. Sorry, this one says data type, but actually we want the identifier to be parsed, right? Then yes. Skeletal animation is kind of straightforward, but adding multi-layer animation, attaching models to other models, and making models only visible for certain frames is kind of complicated. Also, do you have a specific game in mind while making the engine? Yes, I do. So to go back, yeah, the skeletal animation part is probably quite simple. And then yeah, there'll be different animations that have to be interpolated between. Yep. That is on the list. Attaching models to other models is not on the list yet. But yeah, that's something I need to do in the future. Should be a lot of fun though. That was not so bad. It's a bit of maths though. Yeah. And then making models only visible for certain frames. Right, okay. Yeah, we'll see it even when we need that. Yeah, so we're going to be making a top-down RPG kind of game. Have you seen the rendering? Yeah, you've seen the rendering, obviously. You've watched the streams. So you're using ellipsoids and so trying to get a distinct kind of look, um, basically. So top-down RPG, tons of entities everywhere, simulated. Probably gonna have quite complicated AI, where they're gonna simulate and like it's gonna be more of a simulation. So building a simulation, the things react to each other in the world through the game logic. Um, so yeah, there will be a story, but there'll also be this sort of world that's very alive. That's the plan. Um, yeah, it's very much the task list is very much specialized to achieving that goal. So I'm not just building stuff for the sake of it, basically. Um, yes, it's the identifier archetype. So the next one we would like to do is check to see if there's that semicolon. Is that right? Oh, sorry, colon. How many layers of blending do you have in mind? Thy vertex been affected by just 2 bones or more? Right, I think it'd be 4 because it's a. Wait, would it be? It might be 2. Yeah, it's either gonna be 2 or 4. Uh, yeah, 2 or 4 weights. Like 4 gives you a lot more room. Um, but 2 could probably just be good enough, to be honest. I don't expect my models to be that complicated. And then I could, yeah, it would use a lot less memory then, and VGPRs probably. Yeah, so archetype, identifier, colon, and then a list of things, yeah. So we need the colon. There's this thing. A colon instead. To start, expected a colon to start the list of properties. Hint, archetype, string, colon, prop, or like health, banana. Already, banana might be a good one. Let's say armor. Armor, weapon, whatever, right? Yeah, then you want a semicolon to end it. So we'll put in the identifier and voila. So I'm guessing this is stuff you've done before, Heroic Shield. Have you got your own little custom engine, or do you work full time as a engine dev or something? Right, so we skip white space. Right, we should expect a colon here. And then we should also be able to skip some white space here as well before the colon. Now we want to do a while loop and basically say while we haven't reached a colon, I think. Right, so you read until. Yeah, while you haven't reached a new line or a colon, if you reach a new line, there's a problem. So let's just parse the first part of it. Right, we're getting like I think we're sticking it in a while loop, infinite while loop, that we manually break from. I love it how you're approaching UCS is to start by writing a damn compiler. Yeah. Yeah, well, basically the idea is I'll be able to like change things and things would be I don't have to change tons and tons of lines and make sure they're all correct and consistent. So I should just be able to change a few lines and then many lines get changed. So it would be beneficial. But yeah, the parser is a little bit hands-on. But it's alright, we're nearly parsed up and got the data ready, then it's just a bunch of loops and printing code. I'm just a hobbyist engine dev looking for the wisdom of C devs. The beauty of C is that you can translate your techniques into other languages. Yeah, it's a good way of looking at it. Yeah. I quite like the beauty of C because it stops me from doing stuff that's too smart. And if I want to do stuff that's too smart, I have to write a damn compiler, as Isaac puts it. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Hey there, the judo. What am I cooking? I'm cooking a entity system, a data-oriented entity system. So we're currently parsing a layout file which defines a bunch of properties, then we define a bunch of archetypes, and voila, we've generated an entity system. This is what we're trying to achieve within the next 5 streams, including this one. So yeah, we should have ECS, or kind of like an ECS, but data-oriented, tailored towards this project. We designed it last stream. And so yeah, we're just trying to implement the system now. I've still got to come up with an API and how things fit together exactly, but the high-level idea of how it works has been designed. So I'm going to search for semicolon, comma, space. Yeah, so this will get you back an identifier. So core string, well, property, some prop name, prop ident. So if the prop ident isn't any size, then expected a property identifier. Right, so if you've just found another comma, semicolon. Yeah, because you've put a comma down. Yeah, expected a property identifier here after, then we could put the previous char. So it could be like, oh, the previous char was a semicolon. And then we could say like, we could just set it to a comma right afterwards. That'd be pretty nice. Pretty helpful. So then we verify the property ident. Now, what is next? So after we've verified it, we need to actually scan over all of the properties, which you have one down here. Here's one I made earlier. So we're going to put that here. And then what we're going to do is find, so you're only really going to do this once, I think. But we're going to say if core string equal prop ident with prop identifier, then we've found ourselves a found. So I guess we'll have a pointer to it. Prop equal null. That's right, null pointer there, like a C++er. With the found prop. Found prop equal prop. And we break. Neat. So I think a thing I wanted to make sure is that we shouldn't have duplicate property names. That's another thing. Duplicate property names would be a problemo. P identifier. Then we can exit our matching or duplicate property identifier dot star string. So cast it in p ident identifier size, p identifier data. That's all right, isn't it? If I didn't close the string, it's like error. Nice. Address of reader. If you design a plugin system, how would you go about it? Also, check if you were interested. And check if you're interested in hardware reloading. I try to avoid plugin systems because they're often a lot of code and make things more indirect. You add more levels of indirection that make debugging harder. I'm not bothering with hot code reloading yet. It might be beneficial in the future though, for sure, because I imagine I'm going to have a world that's running and I might want to be like, pause the game and then edit some values, right? I think that will be very beneficial, so I need to have ways of doing that. Also, shaders, for my custom shader compiler, well, not even just for the compiler, just for the game engine, it should just be able to reload the shaders in after they've been recompiled and load the new ones in, because that would be beneficial as well. But yeah, I would probably be interested in that in the future when it becomes necessary. But yeah, maybe I'll convince myself that it's a good idea, because the earlier you do it, probably the better it is. Yeah, I'm not sure about how I would design a plugin system. I've tried a few times. Yeah, so we've done that check now. So we found the prop. So here at this point, everything is good. So we bump allocate an archetype prop. So ideally we want something like this. So an archetype prop just links to a prop. And it also has a flag to say if it is optional. So here we go into archetype props, archetype props count. Right, and then we increment archetype props count. Yeah. So now we fill in all the bells and whistles. Archetype prop equal found prop, and then archetype prop is optional is if this is equal to a question mark. So we've got question mark support to have optional fields, and if you remember in the planning session, I was saying that the advantage of using archetypes is that you don't have optional fields. But I've come to a realization that having too many archetypes is problematic, because the areas where the entities are, we need to make sure that an archetype basically at least fills a cache line worth of stuff. So sometimes having more generalized archetypes is a good idea. So to do that, we need optional fields, because that will keep the number of archetypes down, and therefore save an archetype most of the time. I need to get a new one of these cables. I need to write that down. It's my phone. I need to make an Amazon list. Let's quickly write this down before I forget it, because I keep forgetting my things I need to order. Where's my notes? Right, I need a auxiliary to get what this one is. The mega auxiliary, I'll call that cable. Need a baby gate for the boy, because the boy is now trying to crawl the stairs. So I need a baby gate. What else do I need? Windscreen, wiper fluid. Right, that's my to-do list. Keep forgetting that. They're all the things I want to order. If it wasn't to do a plugin system, I'd expose an API for use dynamic libraries, keep it as simple. But for my game engine, probably make a system full of scripts or something. Right. Interesting. Yeah, see, that's the thing. If you expose scripting, if you just expose C code and someone loads a mod, it could crash and you can't really handle it. There's ways to recover, by catching seg faults and stuff. But I think it might be quite fiddly. Whereas if you had like an interpreted language run, it's a little bit more easier to control and gracefully handle errors when they happen. But yeah. So I'm not sure how I'm going to solve that problem, to be honest. Because I don't really like the idea of running a scripting language in a game. Yeah, so we found a question mark. So if it's optional, you would do a compared char. And that'll skip over the optional. But then you're expecting a comma to be there. So we need to make sure that there's after you skip white space. So if architect prop is optional, we need to skip white space. See, this is why like a tokenizer helps, because you don't have to do all this like skip white space and stuff, because you've already tokenized it and then it's just going over tokens. But yeah, screw it. I need a simple file format, right? And then you want to do another one where you compare a char, and you're saying, wait, if it's not a comma. So I think you're saying if it's a comma, we're going to continue. If not, we're expecting a semicolon. If not, it's an error. Something like that, I think. So text reader. Coming from, well, okay. Oh, any replies? You right now I'm working on trying to clean up some unsafe hacks in my reloading parkour deaths. Made harder by Rust safety demands. Oh, okay. Scripting languages and generic bindings feels like a hassle. Yeah, that's true. That's another problem and bloats the code too much. Yeah, well, you can Codegen that as well. And I wrote, well, if someone's random mob which is incorrect, it should fail. Fail hard so they can correct it. No? Because, like, you want to be able to provide ways of saying why it failed and helping the person who's making the mod know. And also be the person playing the game. Not get crashes like that. Reader, Richard. Yeah, so if we've got a comma, take the comma off, and then advance to the next one. So we continue, and set previous char to a comma, so that error message will be nice. And then we want to actually move the skip whitespace thing to here. So we'll start with a nice skip whitespace. Nice. Very nice. And now we need to say, well, if you're equal to a semicolon, then break. Then if you haven't done any of that, what we have is an error. And the error is going to be expected a semicolon or a comma. Expected semicolon to continue to define another property or a semicolon to end this archetype. But got char. And the char would then be text reader peak reader. Yeah. So that should be it, I reckon. So after you've done that, you've parsed all of your... Wait a minute, I didn't update these boys and girls, did I? Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. Right, that's good. So that would then... Cool. So now we should go over all the archetypes and print all those out. So we'll just print out the archetype. Archetypes. So we'll print archetype string identifier colon with a we'll do the spaces manually. So that would be archetype identifier. Yep. So now we do that for loop over all of those archetype. Why do I call it archetypes? It's a singular. Yeah, over all those properties. And then we are simply going to do a printf. So the final one will printf a new line. And this one will printf a printf a space with a name followed by, well, it won't be a space. Yeah, sometimes you put a comma down. This will put a semicolon. So we'll do that with what are we doing? So if index is greater than 0, we printf a comma down. And then this would be archetype props index prop identifier. Then we want to maybe print out the question mark. So we put the string there and we say, well, if the archetype props index is optional, we'll put a question mark string in. If not, we'll put an empty string in, and voila. So that should print out everything. Shoot, this needs to be a, hang on a minute. Dot size in data. All right, so that should print out all the data we've just parsed, and hopefully it works. Error duplicate property identifier chord. So that's a new thing we added in. Right, because I added myself in, isn't it? Where is it? So scanning for properties, we've already bump allocated it, so I want to do prop take 1. Where is it? Prop take 1. Don't include myself when we do the deduplicate thing. At least we know it does trigger. So layout 964, expected comma to define another property or a semicolon. Right, but we obviously have that in, right? 9. Okay, something's a bit fishy. (62)(3). Yes, it's got to the end. So something's gone a bit weird. Let's double check the code. So we've got the archetype. We're going to say, they must have parsed a lot of them. The semicolon is definitely here. Verify, find the property. We didn't check if the property exists, mind you. Prop, if not found prop. Yeah, this is something else to check. So property does not exist. Archetype string uses a property that does not exist. That's not been declared. So archetype, we've got to get the identifier thing in properly. It's this one here. So that's a dot star s because it's got the size before it. Property be another dot star s because we've got slices of things. So that would be prop ident. Yeah, so on again. Cool. So that's a nice new little error. So what was the problem? It was stopping on the semicolon, right? Verified. Damn it, is optional was skip. I meant to put a question mark in there, not a semicolon. Right, that should be the problem. Expected prop or archetype but got empty space. We got empty character. I don't know what that is. What's line 12? I am. 5 PSSD from stinking pointers. Ooh. Using IDs instead of pointers solves a bit of memory safety issue, streamlines streaming, saving loading. Yeah, I do IDs at basically everywhere. And I pool all my objects. I have like an object pool. I find it like a really nice workflow. And yeah, we can catch use after freeze, stuff like that. Also, the IDs can be serialized. The only downside of the ID approach is debugging can be quite hard if you've just got an ID that you're looking at. You know, it's just a number. But usually you can find a place where you get the pointer to it and then you can have a look at the data. But yeah. There are ways to automate that, I think, make it easier. Yeah, so line 12 is this new line thing. So I think we should have skipped the white space on new lines at the end as well. Yeah. So we skipped the white space and new lines. See, maybe it's one of these that we want. I think that will do. Nice. That's looking like it. I see the question mark, right? I see the knight chest and the tree, which are very terrible examples. But there we go. We've even got the A-bit flag thing there, right? It's pretty cool. Yeah. So I think we're parsing everything now. I don't know if everything is correct, though, but it probably is fine. That's pretty neat. So now we've got all the data. It's just a simple case of defining an API and then codegenning that API where necessary. We obviously want to make sure that we have files where stuff is not being codegenned, like core, because it'd be a bit silly writing code as strings. So we should probably have a entity internal .h and then we're going to be generating entity we might have a generated folder, or should we have a generated folder, generated, and then in the generated folder we'll have, yeah, then there will be the same. I think I'll say like entity generated C. So it might be something like entity generated .c. Entity internal dot generated .c. That's all the forward declarations basically. And then .h. Right, my mind was there. Entity public header generated .h. So I think these are the files we're going to be generating, and the other ones will simply include the generated ones. Maybe I should put the word generated before, because then they all show up next to each other in alphabetical order. I think that would be nicer. I think so. Well, they did just all show up actually. Wait a minute. Yeah, they all showed up in alphabetical order there, that's fine. Or generated entity, generated. Yeah, I think that's alright. Pretty neat. So, yeah. Alright, let's close that window. Right. So yeah, the next thing to do is we should probably move like some of these functions in the into the C source file that this text reader we've just made. Just so we're making it reusable across the code base rather than just inside this generator. And then get started on actually designing an API. So as a quick example, what do we want to design? Let's make a little list of that. We need to design the API for iteration. Iterate over. We probably just want to iterate. We might want to iterate over archetypes. Over archetypes in an area. Right. In area. So we can define like an area and it will look at the archetypes within that area. Iterate over properties in area. Right, just define a bunch of properties you want to iterate over and just, you know, get that to work. We also, so this is the API to think about, right? To design. So the reason why I'm thinking about doing the iteration first is because this kind of is the point of doing this whole system, right? Is to make the iteration good. And we want to make sure the API is kind of nice. Another thing we want to be able to get is taking an ID, being able to get an ID and turn that into a reference. Like defining how we want to do that, I think. Or maybe the creation API of an entity create API. We want to design like handles, you know, IDs, references, right? ID to reference. yeah, turning an ID into a reference. Maybe typed IDs, right? Maybe typed IDs. And we also want to think about, can we SIMD? Can we have a AOS and SOA variant that we generate that doesn't change the API, that doesn't create any problems also? And also thinking about swizzling, right? Swizzling, XYZ, W to XXX, X, YYYY, ZZZ, WWW for SIMD. Is that possible to do as an API that maybe goes on the side, and something we can toggle, right? And maybe we need some if-defs for if SIMD code, and maybe no SIMD code is enabled if we disable swizzling. But the API still stays the same. That'd be kind of interesting. Yeah, because this is the whole reason why I'm doing the code generator as well, is I want to be able to switch between different variants and test performance and see if it's really beneficial or not, or how beneficial it is. And if it's not beneficial, why? Is there a problem with the implementation or something like this? Yeah, so we're going to be designing this. So we'll be designing this next stream and possibly starting on it. I don't think it'll take us all stream to design all of this. But it might get me thinking about other things to design as well. But yeah, I think it would just be good just to get started to generate some stuff and fix the problems as they arise. But we definitely need to think about some of the things ahead of time. This would be a bit useful. But yeah, so that'll be on Sunday at 6:30 p.m. GMT +1. Yeah, that's super cool. We got our custom text file parsing at least, and we might add some things. We might not. Oh, I didn't check for the duplicate archetype. Hang on a minute. I didn't check for the duplicate archetype. Yeah, let's take that one. As soon as we get the identifier, duplicate. Right, let's look for the word prop. Noise. Right, let's give that a go. I think that's pretty nice. So I want to run it. It still works. Oop. Got a layout. Let's make another one called tree. Now if we got duplicate one. Duplicate one called tree. Amazing. Nice. Happy about that. Cool. What's my status? I didn't upload the tech plan. Oh, I changed the tech. I did change the tech plan. Okay. Yeah, maybe we should upload that at some point. Right. Thanks for coming, everyone. Let's find someone to raid. So yeah, Sunday or Tuesday. Check out the about page in Twitch if you want to follow some links to places. Let's find someone. Preferably C, but I know how rare sea people are these days. Boom, 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 boom. Let's rate this a go. Right. Right, see you later, Clarissa. Good to see you, as usual. And see you later, everybody. Have a good rest of your week and weekend. I'll see you all at the end of the weekend on Sunday, hopefully.